Welcome back to Lit Sports Online presents Charm City Beat. Me and Jordan are back. It is the playoffs after a long hiatus. You and me, brother, we're back. How's it feel?
I'm excited. It's been a exhausting season, to say the least, if you're a Ravens fan anyway. Just ups and downs, COVID rampaged. They needed to win out the last 5 games to really get in this position, and they did. They won in convincing fashion, and now they're a wildcard team about to play the Tennessee Titans in a rematch from last year. I'm pumped.
Yeah, something to note, this is the 3rd playoff in a row, and this is with Lamar Jackson as the starting quarterback. Of course, we look to cross that bridge now of getting that first playoff win, but hey, 3 playoff appearances in a row, as heartbreaking as each of those losses were, the first 2. We're hoping for the best this week. They're facing the AFC South champions, the Tennessee Titans. It's a rematch of last year. Last year, of course, we lost 28-12 in prime time in the most beautiful weather in Baltimore history in the winter. I'm still mad, Jordan. I'm still mad, dude. And then this year we actually lost to in Week 11 when they beat Baltimore 30-24 in overtime. So let's talk about it. A lot has changed in almost 365 days. Not a lot has. I mean, Derrick Henry's still a rushing monster. He was the NFL's leading rusher, the 8th player ever to go over 2,000 yards, which, if you remember watching last year's game, that was a big problem. Of course, the Ravens, after that loss, they retooled the defense in the offseason after Henry rushed for 195 yards and 30 carries last January. Jordan, let's talk. What do you think, man?
I think if you go back to Week 11, the Ravens blew that 20-10 halftime lead they had, I think, and to end up losing in overtime really painfully the way they did, to let them go down the field and score. I mean, Henry had most of his yards in the second half of that game, which is his MO. He's a big-time runner in the second half. He's actually a really slow starter. Had him fantasy all year, and I just knew in the third quarter he was going to turn it up. So I think for the Ravens to win on Sunday, I think first and foremost they got to jump out to a big lead and make the Titans play from behind, and the Titans vice versa when to the Ravens. I think both teams are built similar in that the run. If the run's established, they can turn to the play action pass. They've got playmakers all over the field on both teams. So I think that's the key, is getting up to an early lead, because if Henry gets going, I don't care if you have a 2,000 Ravens defense, I think, and that's blasphemy. It's going to be tough to stop him.
Yeah. I think the Ravens definitely have to play smart on defense. But, one of the problems with the Ravens, and this is something you hear virtually every Sunday, the Ravens aren't a team to play from behind. So, like you said, they're going to have to get out after it first. I think if they do score first and they just continue to control the clock, the best thing we can do, because, yes, we do have a much better defense than last year. Again, Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry, and we've seen what he's done to people this year, like literally launched them into the atmosphere. I think as long as we're controlling the clock, keeping him off the field, we're good. I think as long as we stay on program, how many times we texted each other during the game and just said, run the damn ball. That's all you got to do. Run the damn ball and wears a mask.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens in the offseason, they got their asses kicked last playoffs, and in the offseason they went out and they signed former All-Pro Close Campbell from the Jaguars, signed Derek Wolfe from the Broncos, really beefed up that defensive line, went out and drafted Patrick Queen at linebacker, got rid of Earl Thomas. So I think they made their team prepared to block a runner of his caliber. Mm-hmm. And two of those players, one of those players wasn't even there in Week 11 in Close Campbell. Brandon Williams wasn't playing, our All-Pro from last year. The 2 of them are back. They're healthy. Mm-hmm. All the safeties and corners are this matchup now with all of our pieces there, a full chess match. I'm really excited about that. I think that's the key, is winning the line of scrimmage, getting to the quarterback a little bit, and just making the Titans have to punt a few times. And then hopefully the Ravens on the other side can get on the field and score and make it like a little bit of a lopsided game.
Well, on the other side, you do have the reigning MVP of last year. And if you've watched the last few games, he looks back to his MVP ways. And, he's coming off, second straight 1,000-yard rushing season, which is just absolutely insane. Unfathomable, actually. And you start to look at this team, and one thing I like to do is I'm a people person. I look at the sideline. They look happy again. They look like they're having fun. Lamar's out there smiling, and I've always said, as long as Lamar Jackson's having fun, the Ravens are in good hands. The moment that smile goes away, yeah, worry about that. But I think you're looking at a much better, at least in my opinion, I think right now what we've seen the last few weeks, I think it's a much better looking team. We have a much better running back in J.K. Dobbins, who went off last week and has just been fantastic. You know, really, him and Gus Edwards literally should just be the future running game of the Ravens for the next few years, because together they're unstoppable. Mix in Lamar Jackson. We're not even talking about him. So that's
I mean, the Titans game happened, and then it's really encouraging. I know right after the Titans game happened, the COVID hit this team really hard. Week 12, they barely fielded a team against the Steelers, and then all these players came back. Lamar Jackson came back from COVID, and it just seemed like they hit the reset button after a really tumultuous first 3 quarters of the season. And he's looked like a totally different quarterback, like the one he was last year.
Mm-hmm.
What he did in that Browns game, some of those heroics. And then, I mean, you've seen Hundley, the backup quarterback now in 3 of these games down the stretch, which means the Ravens are scoring a ton of points. In fact, they're averaging 37.2 a game in the last 5 games. And so, of course, you're going to have a lot of smiles. Everyone's pumped. They're playing at a ridiculous level right now offensively. 400 rushing yards last week as a team. That's some of the greatest running that's ever happened in a single game in NFL history. But he had 3 touchdown passes in that football game. So, I mean, they're obviously being very balanced. The passing, when you do see it, is working, I think, because the play-action teams don't know how to defend this team right now, because Lamar Jackson, I mean, if they had handcuffs on him early, they're gone. He's doing whatever he wants when he wants. He's running if he doesn't see it open, which I think he wasn't doing early on against the Titans, against the Steelers, against the Chiefs. I mean, he was trying to stand in that pocket and throw, and I think the Ravens finally realized they can't. He's not a pocket passer. It's not his MO.
Yep.
I mean, he's most dangerous when he gets out of the pocket, and I think that's the ticket for Sunday.
Yeah, I think 100%. I mean, I also like the fact, the fact that it's not a primetime game. At first, I was a little like, how is this not like a marquee, like Sunday night,
Right.
Saturday night? But then a part of me was like, you know what? Let him have a daytime game. Maybe I'll take the pressure off of them. All the lights aren't on you. It's still a playoff game. Everybody's still watching. But I don't know. I think that, it being a 1 o'clock game really is going to change the dynamic, because the Ravens will just be able, I think, to relax.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I don't remember the game where they went into New England and just scored like 1 million points, or the game where they just blew out the Chiefs. Like, when the Ravens play during the day on the road, I just feel like that's Ravens playoff football. When they get put in the limelight, It gets real interesting. I don't know what – I mean, that's because that's just the nature of the beast, I think. But, I mean, this is at least, up last week. They didn't have 2 weeks off like they did last year. They have all the momentum in the world from last week's win. They're just going to keep rolling into this game against Tennessee where, revenge is going to be a big-time factor here and, imposing their will. And the last 2 times they played Titans, it was the other way around. And now I'm interested to see if the Ravens are the ones that come out and throw that first punch and take control of this football game.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, that's what I'm looking to see. Just the Ravens take control and just play Ravens football. Now, what concerns do you have for the Tennessee Titans? I mean, we know we're going to talk about the Ravens in a second, but what concerns do you have for the Tennessee Titans versus the Ravens?
They've got one of the worst defenses in the NFL statistically. They're down there with the Jaguars and the Lions. I mean, just last week they gave up 400 passing yards to Watson. You're talking, 8 consecutive scoring drives for the Texans in that football game. I mean, historically, no teams I think they have 19 total sacks on the season, which is the worst for a playoff team in the history of the NFL. Their third down defense is the worst since the stat was started getting capped in 1994. So this is a very, very bad defense. And so I think it's much worse than it was last year. And so I think the Ravens will not have any trouble moving the football. So as long as Lamar Jackson doesn't make silly mistakes like fumble at running or a ball gets tipped like it did last week against the Bengals and they just control the clock, and you see those 15, 20 play, 8 or 9 minute drives where their King Henry is sitting on the sideline and their defense is getting gassed, and it is 7-0 with 6 minutes left in the first quarter. That's the biggest concern for me for the Titans is that they're just not going to have the success. I mean, they've got to force turnovers. If they don't force turnovers, they've got no chance in this football game.
100%. Now on the Ravens side, what other concerns do you have?
I mean, for Lamar Jackson, he's 0-2 in the playoffs so far, and I think that's definitely a bugaboo that he's got to get off his back. And I mean, I think this is the game. He played like out of his mind last year in that playoff game. I think he had close to 500 offensive yards by himself, but some of those early interceptions, he fumbled it. It cost them. It cost them big time. And the other thing is they've got the defense. I mean, they've got to learn how to stop, Derrick Henry, because they did not stop the Titans in the last game. They played them 30 yards. I think they got 30 points in that football game. And so it's a very good quarterback, almost 4,000 yards passing, almost 40 touchdown passes. A.J. Brown is a beast. They have a great secondary receiver in Corey Davis. And then, obviously, Derrick Henry's coming off a year into 2,000 yards rushing. A lot of weapons. I think they're up there with the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Saints and the Packers for offense. And so I think that's the biggest key is the Ravens have to get off the field on third down. They have to limit the big runs by Henry. He's going to get his. He's going to get his big runs. It's just whether or not they can stop him in the red zone is the other thing. I don't know what your thoughts are about any of this with the Ravens.
Yeah, so when it comes to, Sorry, it jumped.
No.
But I was going to say, with me, honestly, it's that offense. That offense does scare me. I had Corey Davis actually for fantasy. So, like, I got to learn the Titans offense a lot. And, with Ryan Tannehill, even though I feel like he's the unspoken hero in this offense, you don't hear too much about him. I think he could, if the Ravens let him, he could manage a victory. I mean, all he has to really do is let Derrick Henry run all over the place. It's really just going to come down to the defense. The defense has to play aggressive, but they also have to play smart. The Ravens have no problem playing aggressively. We know they're one of the most aggressive defenses out there, but if they don't play smart, if they let the ball go down the field on passes, even after they shut down the run, that's a game right there. So I think, honestly, my biggest concern is defense, but I am more confident this year in this year's defense than I was last year. I think the defensive line is definitely way better prepared. We just got to make sure our secondary is good, and we've been playing with some backups this season, so hopefully they can hold up. On the offense, actually, and it's not really a concern, it's more of a praise. The running backs. I think our running backs we're in an interesting situation. Now, the concern is, if they try to run with Mark Ingram, I'm not confident in him as a runner, honestly. But if we keep it to Gus Edwards, keep it to J.K. Dobbins, then I think we're good to go there, honestly, offensively.
Yeah, they haven't really they ran Ingram once last game before he came in garbage time, and I think they just continue to do that. They probably give him 1 or 2 carries early just to give him a taste of the playoffs. I don't like it. I think it's like the Chris Davis thing they're doing with the Orioles. They just keep him around. But and he may not get any carries. You know what? The Ravens aren't going to mess around in this football game. So they probably won't see him. I think you're going to see Gus Edwards and Dobbins a ton. And you put those guys together, and you have a back that's probably better than Derrick Henry. I mean, those guys together are averaging close to 6 yards a carry. They're thunder and lightning. Dobbins can hit the hole. He can run on the edge. I love Gus Edwards in space. I mean, he can really he's great in the open field. It's a really fun team to watch offensively. And once Lamar Jackson gets out and going, and he's got 12 or 13 carries, he's getting 100 yards rushing. That's deadly. When it's 3rd and 5, and you're either going to run it, throw it, he's going to take off. If you're a defense, how do you stop that? I mean, it takes all 11 guys, and you're probably still going to leave somebody open. Mark Andrews,
Exactly. Like I said, if we can get going offensively against the worst defense, not make the same mistakes last time, we're good to go. Now, also some other notes. Under Harbaugh, the Ravens have won 7 road playoff games. And, we've heard that over the last, 13-something odd years. Playoffs on the road, that's Ravens football right there. So really excited about that. Even this year, as crazy as it's been, really excited just for a road playoff game. I'm not going to be there, so I don't care. But also another thing I didn't know that, you had let me know before the show, the Ravens and the Titans are tied in this playoff series. The Ravens won 2001 and 2009, whereas the Titans won 2004 and sadly last year. So, we got a best out of 5 here. I'm interested to see how this series goes. I think, honestly, my prediction, because we'll just get to that point right now. I think the Ravens win. I want to say, I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm going to say 28-21. I don't think it's going to be too wide of a margin, just off of what we've seen, earlier this year. The Titans have played us a lot, 2 times, in the last 365 days. So they know us. So, like I said, I think it's going to be a decent enough close game. I think it's going to be a great game, honestly. I think it is going to be a great game. It's going to be hard-nosed football. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think this Ravens, I think they hit a field goal, but I'm with you. I think they do score 4 touchdowns. Well, I've got them scoring 31 points and beating the Titans 31-23. I think the Titans are going to hang around a little bit, make it interesting. It's a closer game than the score indicates. Titans are going to be right there where a touchdown and a 2-point conversion puts them within some sort of, chance to tie it late. And I think the Ravens are going to end up, amazingly, defense is going to save the day on this one. I'm hoping. But I can also see Justin Tucker winning it with a field goal.
You know what?
Lucky to have him.
Field goal would be the most Ravens thing ever.
It would be. Yes, it would be.
I'm not going to complain if that happens. I'll tell you that. But yeah, that does it for our show. We're back. We had a long break. COVID kind of took a toll on us, and we decided to step back, recollect, and here we are for you all. So if you are new to LitTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you've been with us since the beginning, stay tuned. We got a lot more coming. We're going to look at the rest of the playoff games around the league. And, yeah, stay tuned for more. Take care.